Hello to Nick Lote from the Midland Railway. How are you today?
Hello. No, nice to meet you. No, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, just finished work, and it's always nice to get to then talk about music, which is generally more fun than work.
So, can you tell me how did Midland Railway band get their name?
The name. So we're called so we just go by the name, just Midland Railway. There's no people did use back in the early noughties when we first started out. So many bands then started with that everyone kept on adding the onto the beginning, but we never did. Officially, it's always been Midland Railway, and then we added band on at the end for the tag for Facebook and Instagram, just because we wanted a bit of consistency, like branding wise, but also so that people can find us a little bit more easily as well. So how did we come up with that? It's quite a long time ago now, because we first formed the band our first ever gig was, I think, August 2004. So it's quite an unusual sort of long story towards the point now where we've just released the first album, like 20 and a half years later. So the way that we came up with the band name was just that we wanted something that was sort of, I guess we wanted something that we could have some fun with, that we could make some kind of nerdy jokes about. But we didn't want anything too silly where people wouldn't take the serious song seriously. Because the first ever band I was in, we were called Pink Fluffy Cloud Machine, which was an excellent name in many ways, I think. But I mean, I'm biased because they're first of it. But but people didn't take the serious song seriously, so I didn't want to make that same mistake again. And also, the railway company we're named after, they haven't existed since 1923, when they merged with the London North Western Railway to form the London Midland Scottish Railway. And there's a kind of romance about old railway stations, and like loads of scenes in classic films take place in railway stations, and it seemed to fit quite well. And then of course we had the dilemma of, well, which railway company do we name ourselves after? And well, I'm originally from Birmingham, and I live in Manchester, and that's where I met all my bandmates. And the Midland Railway served both. It flows off the tongue reasonably well. It just seemed like and they had a kind of a nice deep red colour scheme, which the London Midland Scottish Railway subsequently adopted, and it just seemed like quite in terms of the linguistics, the history, and the kind of image, it just all seemed to fit reasonably well. I mean, my girlfriend thinks it's a rubbish name and that we should change it, but I'd like to think that a few people would be quite disappointed these days if we did. I think I don't know. It's kind of, it makes us stand out a bit. There aren't many, it's a bit different to most band names.
So, what was it like as a band recording your debut single called the Pokemon Adventure?
Well, so that was we did that during lockdown. That was, and the way that came about was, well, at the time we had no idea what we were doing, to be honest, because it was, I guess it was all quite new to us. We kind of, after the first few years of the band, where after a while we're like, okay, we're not, we don't seem to be really getting anywhere as far as trying to make a career out of this goes. So we kind of had a big long break, and then we sort of reformed in a more casual way. As more of it was the band was kind of relegated, at least from our perspective, it was kind of relegated to the hobby category quite firmly for a few years, and then our drummer David, he passed away rather tragically, and and we were like, well, we think these songs which we've been playing are kind of good, but we've got nothing really to show for it. There's some live performances, but then we're only not playing very often, so they're not even that good. And then we're like, well, we wanted to kind of try and get some of our songs recorded properly, and just so partly like at the time we were sort of thinking for posterity as a way of just like remembering that we've done all these years of some kind of cool gigs, and then so we we recorded the Pokemon Adventure with a producer called Neil Trepass, who is well, I'd actually worked with him years and years ago back when he was first like learning his production skills, and he'd actually recorded some demos with us when we were kind of still learning to play our instruments, basically, and he was still and he was learning how to do production, and then so we sort of reunited all these years later, and you know, now he's a fantastic producer, and it was we probably weren't the easiest band to record because we just we recorded it with the wrong structure initially. Fortunately, these things are a lot easier to correct these days with modern technology. And because it was during the lockdown, Rob, who had always played the lead guitar part live, he was stuck up in Scotland, so I ended up playing that part on the keyboard, which has actually given the recording quite a distinctive sound, which I rather like. It's got with its sort of keyboard lead part rather than guitar lead part. And I remember when we released it, a lot of people who had known that I'd played in the band for quite a long time were like, "Oh, that's like really good." I was like, "Why are you sounding so surprised?" Because it's, you know, we wouldn't have been doing this if we didn't think we were kind of good at this. And that was the single that almost, I guess, started this run over these last couple of years where it's been like, okay, well, that actually went quite well. We should like maybe record some more stuff and see where this goes if we like try and, you know, get a bunch of these songs recorded properly. And then I started writing some new songs, and some of those have come out pretty well. And and then a few years later, we have a full album which came out last Friday, which is available to stream now, and the physical version is coming out this Sunday. I guess it will already be out by the time that people hear this interview. We've done so much more during these last few years than in any of the many years that the band was going before, in terms of getting the music out and reaching people further afield. And it's been a sort of strange but kind of really exciting ride.
I'm going to move on now a couple of years ago. Come in with the single that released called A Song for Hannah Beth.
Sorry, say that again?
A song called For Hannah Beth.
Yeah. What do you want? What would you like to know about this one?
Can you tell me more about it?
Sure. So this one is now this one tends to be, for one, people who like the band generally, a very high proportion of them seem to pick out this one as their favorite of all. So it's I don't know, it might not be the one that necessarily most grabs people's attention at first, but from repeated listens, this one seems to be really popular, and it always seems to go down well live. It's one of our more one of our less rock ones, actually, but yeah, I think it seems like there's something about it that kind of resonates with people. I mean, it's about a situation in the sort of early stages of a relationship where there's a bunch of things that you're questioning, where maybe things aren't quite as good as they seem, as they look like they are on the surface, and you've got kind of loads of doubts about things, but you sort of really want these doubts to be wrong. But it's that's sort of the situation that inspired it.
So, can you tell me what the latest single they released called She Loves Ted Bundy?
Right, yeah. So this one, this is completely different. This one came about from, so my girlfriend Lizzie, she really likes serial. Well, she'll always say, "No, I don't actually like serial killers. I just find them fascinating." So, but you know, from the outside, it looks as though she just really, really likes serial killers. She will quite happily watch serial killer documentaries all day, every day, if she can, if she's choosing what's on the TV, and she will fall asleep listening to serial killer podcasts. And her favorite serial killer is Ted Bundy, and she does actually own a mug that's covered in pictures of Ted Bundy, which actually I should probably have got as a little prop to use during this interview. In fact, it's in one of the cupboards behind me, and she went through a phase where she was well, I don't know if you've seen the album cover, and it's some art which depicts lots and lots of cats, and they're sort of eating sushi off a miniature train, and at one point she photoshopped Ted Bundy's face onto each of the cats, not for any particular reason, just because that's something to do for fun, and so there were plenty of just real life ridiculous things that I was able to then incorporate into the lyrics. And I mean, I mainly just wrote the song just to make fun of my girlfriend Lizzie, because I thought that her sort of Ted Bundy obsession was quite funny, and it's sort of it seems like the song just resonates with quite a lot of people, like mostly women, but there are quite a lot of people around who are like very fascinated by serial killers, it seems. So, so we've had a few people who have, who like present, who present like true crime podcasts, who we've got to know because of the song. So it's been, this is definitely the one that most grabs people's attention. It always goes down really, really well live, and it's the one that people sing along to, and it is a lot of fun, and it's very much I mean, I guess this is very subjective, but I think it's probably a catchier song of all.
So, can you tell me more about your debut album called Midland Railway?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a self-titled album always seems like a good starting point, and I mean, it's if we were to go back a few years and do this all again, we'd have probably done it quite differently, because we recorded it over a very long period of time with lots of different people in the band at different points and different producers, and it means that all the songs on there, well, that there's lots of different subtle differences, and then at the end we had to try and kind of make it all fit together and sound like a reasonably coherent album. And well, I guess you get to everyone is now able to have a listen to it and see how well they feel like we've done on that front. But I'm pretty happy with it, actually. Like, it's I feel like we've got, I guess maybe at its core, I think the fact that I'm really quite proud of all of the songs on there, I think that's quite an important thing. I don't think there are any songs on there. In fact, there aren't any songs on there which I think are like substandard in terms of the song quality, or in terms of the recording quality. I think holds up pretty well, even though not all of them would. Some were done on bigger budgets than others, because, well, it's our first album. We're kind of starting out trying to figure out how to do all of this, and we didn't have an unlimited budget. There are probably changes which we would have made had we had an unlimited budget, but we had to kind of try and make the best of what we did have, and it certainly gives the album a bit of character, I guess, that sort of some of that variation. But I think that She Loves Ted Bundy that's the lead single from it, and that's probably the happiest song on the whole thing. So I suppose if you're although a lot of the songs end up writing have quite, people often think that describe the melodies as being like really cheerful compared with the lyrical content, and I don't know, I suppose that's something that is true of a lot of the music that I most enjoy listening to. So maybe that's an okay thing, but it means if you like often quite thoughtful, quite miserable lyrics set to quite nice, cheerful melodies, and then this album's probably for you. And it seems to, I mean, it's been really well received so far, which is really, really nice, because, well, we put so much work into it over such a long period of time that kind of hope it would go down well in a way. And we've also, well, we've also just very recently joined Robot Distro, so we're going to get a bit of extra help with getting it heard all around the world, which is going to be fantastic. And we've got the physical release going out through Rare Visman Records. So so hopefully it's going to get heard by a lot of people who, when we were recording it, maybe we didn't really know how well it would be received. We thought it might just be a case of the people that we already know hearing it and hopefully liking it, but maybe that would be about it. And now, I guess I'm kind of hoping it will be heard by a lot more people.
So I'm guessing Midland Railway are independent band.
What do you mean by an independent band?
That you can do your own music way that you want it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly none of the deals that we have in place now affect that. Yeah, we certainly. Well, I mean, we're obviously writing our own music and recording it how we want. That has its pros and cons. It means that we kind of have to figure out a lot of stuff for ourselves, but I guess I don't know. I feel like I've learned a lot over these last few years, so that's probably less of an issue than it might have been. And I mean, I think people who follow us on social media will probably know it's probably very apparent that we're that we're doing all that ourselves. We don't have like a social media expert in charge of things. Although we do have a management agency to help us with bookings and stuff these days. So they've been fantastic so far. So we're in that sense we're maybe a little bit less independent than we're how do I describe it? We're more of a professional independent outfit than we've ever been previously these days. But it's still, I guess the artistic side of what we're doing is very much at its core still. It's not. There's no one telling us what songs we have to play at gigs or what or what songs we have to record next or where or any of that stuff. So I guess I don't know. Does that answer the question? I don't know.
It certainly does. So, give me the Midland Railway any upcoming gigs coming soon.
Yes. So we've got. So at the time that you're watching this interview, probably our next gig is likely to be in Middlewich, which is in Cheshire, and that's at a place called the King's Lock. That's on Sunday, the 27th of April. And then we're going to be playing at the International Pop Overthrow Festival in Liverpool, which is at the Cavern Club, and that's the last week of May. We don't know what day we'll be on stage yet, but you can keep up to date with everything on through our social media, which is at Midland Railway Band, and also from our social media pages, you'll find the links to our Linktree page, which has just links to everything, tickets, just where we're playing, where you can hear our music. We'll have a link to this interview as well. So if you want to, so you can basically consume as much Midland Railway content as you want to that way. Oh, and we're on YouTube as well, and I think our YouTube handle might be Midland Railway Band, but the link is on the Linktree page as well.
Thank you. Let me chat to you today.
No, thank you for having me as a guest. It's been a pleasure, and hope my answers have been of interest to your listeners.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Well, so I'm about to watch a football match, so I guess it'll depend. I guess my enjoyment will depend on Aston Villa's performance and the results. So let's see what happens. No, thank you. You too.
Goodbye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.